100 Acres of Tears. The rain falls heavy on the 100-acre woods, the once vibrant forest and meadows now a decaying memory of a long-gone age. In the wooded alleys behind the shoemaker, a crowd starts to surround the scene of our crime. "You out of the way, you out of the way," I say as I shoo all the threadbare junkies and journalists. I bounced over to the crime scene, jumped over the tape where I'm shown the body. The rookie pulls off the tarp, and I recognize him instantly. Gopher. He was laid on his stomach, face down in the puddle, with a suspicious accessory on his usually nude body. Huh. Not the best night to wear a red balloon, especially around your neck, eh, rookie? The joke flew over his head as he flipped through the notes he took, being the first on the scene. A report from a drunk passed out turned into the discovery of a corpse. Looks to be the death by strangulation. Balloon string most likely the murder weapon. I sighed. These new lugs were no fun at all business and no sense. Of course, he could tell he'd been strangled. The question wasn't how, but why. Gopher was a loner. He never really fit in with the rest of the woods, always whistling off conspiracy theories as he tried to make his mark in underground home renovation. But that was before the constant downpours, the rain that never let up. It didn't take long for his enterprise to get all washed up. And then he just seemed to go underground. I mean, yeah, he was a gopher. He dug underground all the time, but he went dark. And it had been a good few months since I ever saw him. I looked at the balloon, gave it a little 1-2 with the fisticuffs. Kind of felt like old times. Detective Tigger? The rookie questioned. Fresh balloon. Still plenty of air. Still plenty of fight in it. Don't let your guard down on a good balloon. They'll keep getting back up. But a red balloon? Why in this part of town? They were deep in Heffalump territory, and they weren't the type to enjoy carnival or balloons. Not the easiest to blow up with a trunk. Strangulation is more of a woozle tactic anyway, but they wouldn't off anyone. Not in someone else's block. No, nothing about this smelled right. Just like the rotting trees of the 100-acre woods, it smelled rotten. I made my way back to the precinct to report in to the chief. Too many scoldings, too many second chances. I was stuck getting permission for my job like a toddler asking for cookies from their nana. It was despicable. I step into the tree and shake off the rain. Piglet's there at the front desk and gets immediately splashed. Well, he's shaking, but then when isn't he shaking? He was running as secretary for the chief, a nice safe job away from the actions. Perfect for a coward like him. Hey, Piglet. I guess you heard about Gopher, right? Let the chief know I'm gonna get started on solving this brutality of our friend. Piglet had wiped himself off with a little towel and started stammering. Tigger, yes, I heard about Gopher. Oh, poor Gopher. Another one of our friends gone too soon. But the chief, he's actually already waiting for you. He gave strict instructions. You had to go to his office immediately. Well, that was never good. I made my way up the wooden steps, the police station being one of the last big oaks of the woods left. After all the changes over the years, it had become necessary to facilitate peace in the woods. Well, that's what we say, of course. But those in the force know it's all just baloney. We just enforce the orders from on top, and if a crime is committed too big to ignore, we gotta make a show, trying to make it right. That's all it was, though. A show. I step up to the top floor and look past the chief's desk at the window. Rain still isn't stopping. No sunshine these days, it seems. Rabbit turns the chair around looking stern. Or upset. Maybe angry. It was hard to tell these days. They all looked the same. Ever since he lost the farm, Rabbit just never seemed to smile again. Seems you got the gopher case. Listen, the mayor wants this cleaned up as soon as possible. Rabbit loved barking orders, so this job suited him well. I sighed. What's the hubbub, Sarge? Not like you to take things personally nowadays. Rabbit puffed. Lindsay, hello, thank you for the story. Let me know how the audio is. I try to put on some like background and stuff. To kind of keep like, things kind of like constant, but I don't know if it's too loud or not. So let me know. Or if I need to be turned up. So far in the story, Gopher was found murdered. He was strangled with a string of a red balloon, and Tigger is now lead detective, and he's at the chief's office getting chewed out. Rabbit puffed. The phone, so the audio is different, but the music sounds great. Okay, cool. All right. Rabbit puffed. I don't care what you gotta do. Grab some homeless toy or random thug and lock him up, but the mayor wants this cleaned up by tonight. You got it! I cocked an eyebrow. This was getting suspicious. Why is the mayor so invested in this? And why that pressure, Rabbit? I think maybe I need to go to City Hall and ask him if you The hell you do! And don't do anything about the mayor, you hear me, Tigger? Rabbit interrupted him loudly. His hand slapped the desk, causing the tree to shake. You'll have a culprit by the morning, or you'll be fired, you hear me? I sighed and started to leave the office, saying nothing but understanding clearly. As I closed the door, I could hear him mutter, Tiggers, thank God there's only one. I was walking past Piglet to the exit when I stopped. Hey, Piglet, you happen to know where Pooh Bear is? He's staying with you, right? Pooh's tree had collapsed a few weeks back. The entrance was now 6 feet underground and without a place to stay. And, well, with how Pooh was now, let's say it just wasn't safe to keep him out of sight for too long. But Piglet shook his head. Sorry, Tigger. He went out for a walk yesterday, and he didn't come back before I left. I'm not sure where he is. Tigger nodded and walked out into the rain. A dead friend, and the only clue he had tied to the murderer being one of his bestest of friends. This was going to be a long night. But I suppose I better bring you up to the state of the 100-acre woods. See, after Christopher Robin came back from the war, apparently society, or whatever they want to call it in them big cities, was advancing pretty fast. Too fast for animals and toys like us to have a place for it. So Christopher Robin made a deal with the local municipals. 100-acre wood would become a refugee haven for all the misplaced animals and toys that were going without homes, as the forests were paved away for factories and buildings, to build even bigger factories, to build even bigger buildings. At first the 100-acre woods felt welcome with all the new friends, but soon it just became too much. Christopher Robin called himself the mayor and overloaded the forest with critters, creatures, and hopeless sort. We were banned from leaving the forest to try and find new homes, so folks were stuffed into tree houses, one on top of the other, more and more, till there just wasn't any room left anymore. And those without left homes and hope, well, they were only left for violence. Toy-on-toy crime rose. Heffalumps and Woozle's peace treaties were lost in a vicious attack. The new, younger, more angry radicals took over after the leaders' mysterious disappearances, and now many innocent toys were getting caught in the crossfire. The critters tried to live, but with less food available, most of them ended up dying out, while others just whittled away in caves. I thought to take up the badge to help bring some justice to these dirt roads, but nowadays, I just feel like I just want to bounce up to the moon just to get away from it all. My first recourse was to find out where Pooh was. If I could at least clear his name with an alibi, I'd feel a bit better going forward. I started at the Honey Pot, a brothel where all the toys where toys did tricks for those with food and cash to help make ends meet. Pooh often found his way here, though, but not for the women. He just got the name mistaken for a place that actually had honey. As I make my way in, I see the mayor's limo drive off. I make a note of it and let myself in. I ask for the only name I knew here. Seems she just finished with a client. I'm led up to the room and greeted with a "money on the table" from behind the curtain. I drop the coins and bottle caps on the desk and have a seat in the love seat. It's still moist. I shudder a bit. As she steps out from behind the curtain, all formalities of her job are dropped, and her face is left in an emotionless stare. Miss Kinga, I start. It's been a while. She collects herself for a second and starts to do her job, doing the dancing around me. She's beautiful. She always was, but afraid I wasn't here for pleasure, just business. Miss Kinga, I need to talk to you. Gopher is dead. I've heard, she said as the fluffy scarf she wore spun around in my face. I guess that's another one of us lost to these times, huh, Tigger? I mean, detective? She practically spat out that last line, but I continued. I know Gopher was one of your regulars. Did he mention anything to you about something coming after him, or maybe if he was dealing with some bad folks? What if he was, detective? Kanga asked, her voice more sullen again. She was less... Sorry. She was starting to give up... She was less able to keep up the ruse and stopped her dance, going to her desk to light up a cigarette. Yeah, Gopher was a regular, built up a bit of a tab. He loved whistling his Dixie on me, but I thought he was just a dirty little rat. For the past week, it was strange, he paid off his tab and saw me one last time, about 3 days ago. Said he was finally hitting the big times, but that's all I know. She took a big drag and let the smoke leave her mouth slowly. Have you seen Pooh lately? I hear he still wanders in by from time to time. Kinga put out the cigarette on the table, missing the ashtray completely. No. Now get out! Get out, you! I stood up and stepped towards her. Kinga, look, No! Don't you dare... You know what you did, and you still have the gall to come here in front of me. You're the worst. I winced. It hurt. I know you're still upset about Rue. I still think about him every day too, you know. And what good does that do me, Tigger? He idolized you. He joined these play police games that you brought him in on, and what did you get him? It got him dead! Hi, Chicken Bear. Trampled my heffalumps for what? For trying to stop fights over candy bars? Where were you when he was begging for help? For calling for his mama, Tigger? You were his partner. His friend. You killed my boy. Don't you dare. Don't you dare ask me for anything else. Now get out. Out! She was in tears. She could barely yell through the sorrow. Sorry, I'll go. Just the mayor. He was just here. Get out now! She threw a vase at me. Barely ducked, but maybe I should have let it hit me. It was the least I owe her. I stepped out of her room and out of the honey pot. The only hint I'd gotten was Gopher had gotten some big money recently. But who had money like that in this town? He had to ask his man on the streets next. I wander the dirt streets through the rush of hopeless toys. Well, I appreciate you at least hopping in, Chicken Bear. Thank you very much. Where was it? Hada hada? Let's see. I wander the dirt streets through the rush of hopeless toys, keeping my eyes out for my man. He was never in any one place for too long, and definitely not the same place twice. It took almost an hour before I found him. Sat between two bushes with a book over his head, trying to save him from the rain. Bye, Chicken Beer. I take off the book, and I give him my hat. Thanks for noticing me. Eeyore looks up. What can I help you for, detective? Well, I'm looking for two things, bud. Pooh's whereabouts, and how Gopher can end up with a fat stack of cash to pay off all those debts. Eeyore looked up at the sky. The rain still going non-stop. You ever have a home crash in on you, Tigger? Nah, Eeyore. Can't say I have. Well, it's depressing. But you at least have the hope that afterwards, maybe the next place won't fall apart. Until you do it so many times, you realize that maybe in the end, it was always crashing and the whole time. And those few moments where it looked like things were okay, you were just wrong. I didn't say anything for a bit. Eeyore had been on the streets without twigs to call his own after the mayor set up the new no camp policy. It was said that it would give the forest folk peace of mind from any regular folk coming in. But really, it was just a way to keep the homeless from building up their own homes. You saying the forest is going to be falling down? Eeyore looked back at me, and he shook his head. Well, I'm saying it's already happening. We're too late to stop it, Tigger. He sighed. Maybe Gopher's the lucky one. He got to get out before it happens. Come on, Eeyore. Know you got something, don't you? He nodded. I can't rightfully say I know where Pooh is. I haven't seen him. But Gopher, well, he was working with the mayor on a new project. But that's a secret. It was slowly coming together. But what could Gopher help Christopher Robin with? You're gonna be okay, Eeyore? Aren't you worried they'll come after you next? Eeyore looked back up at the storm clouds. Tigger, I'm kinda hoping for it. I tried to get a meeting with the mayor. The only building in these woods is made of stone and brick, and not wood. But I was tossed out as soon as I got in. Nepotism is dead in these woods, I guess. And the building was so tall, I couldn't even bounce my way to his window to get a good look inside. Now, if I wanted answers, I needed to find Gopher's hole. You know, his hideout, his crib, his base O operations. But I didn't have much to go on. I stopped by some caves to ask the other critters if they knew anything. But they kept away from him. I guess division between species was strong in the critter world. I headed to the site of his last big job. The last one I knew he'd been working on, at least. The underground homes. The way of the future. But afraid all I saw was just big piles of dirt strewn about. I sighed. This was getting me nowhere. I was running out of time, and by now he was sure Rabbit found out. Hi, Claire! By now he was sure Rabbit found out how we tried to see the mayor. It was getting hopeless. I went to kick a rock and slipped on the mud. The path suddenly curved, and I was whisked away through a veritable slide into the river. And then carried out by the current as I tried to grab a hold of anything, so I was suddenly pulled underwater by a strong pressure. It was a few minutes, and then I popped out of a hole underground. The water seemed to flow back into an underground water pocket. I guess that's where the local well was. But looking around, this must have been Gopher's hideout. Or just a conveniently placed cave next to a whole bunch of drowned toys. Oof. I looked around for a light, finding a flashlight and then turning it on. Tech like this proved Gopher's connections with the mayor. Most electronics were considered contraband by the mayor and confiscated. We weren't allowed no radios, no tellies, nothing to have any fun with, all just mostly left to our own devices. With the light, I was able to look around and started crawling through some of the small tunnels, seeing what I could find. But the tunnels seemed to go on forever. Some crisscrossing each other, some going under, some going above the others. It was a veritable maze. was crawling for so long I felt like I was losing track of time itself. But I finally made it to a room. A nice firm mattress along with a desk covered with maps. I wanted to ask how a mattress could make it so deep down here, but the maps were of more importance. I needed to see what was so important that it was worth killing over. The maps. There were two of them. One of the 100-acre woods, and the other was a map of all the tunnels he'd been going through. He looked at them, but didn't find anything off, but he stacked the two of them on top of each other, and there it was, a pattern. Places where the tunnels stacked and overlapped, they were all below trees and houses in the 100-acre woods. Not only that, there was a series of tunnels that were supposedly under Pooh's house as well. So that's why it sunk in. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. They were planning to sink the whole 100-acre wood. If they did that, I'm sure there'd be no one to stop them from paving over the forest, all in the name of that big city progress. It made sense now. Wait, or did it? It seemed like Gopher wasn't done yet. Did someone off him to stop the project from happening? Could it even be stopped at this point? Did Gopher tip off the plan to someone he shouldn't have? Despite all the new information, he didn't feel any closer to solving the case. I looked at the map and figured a new path out, cutting to where Pooh's tree fell. It was the closest I could find. I crawled through the tunnels, a bit more careful this time, knowing that some of these were intended to cave in at any moment. And I finally made it to Pooh's house. Crawling in through the window that had been broken in, I stopped inside for a moment and looked around at all the memories. Pictures of us when we were young. The villain is definitely Jojo Mart. Rabbit's Farm was the first to go, so, the Stardew is strong. I stopped for a moment, looking around and taking in all of the memories, all the nostalgia. There were pictures of us when we were young, playing and going on all of our adventures. Good old Christopher Robin before he grew up, before he went off to the war, before Pooh went to follow him and came back, well, but I had to leave the memories where I found them, crawling up the house till I could find some rotten wood to kick out, and suddenly I was back above ground. The rain had slowed down. It was still dark though. I crawled out and slipped on some rotten leaves tumbling onto the ground. I laid on my back and stared up at the leaves, the moonlit sky peeking out between the trees and the clouds, and thinking about the last few hours, I just began to weep. Well, I needed a drink. I was getting sluggish. I hadn't slept in a good bit. I headed to Owl's Tavern and sat at the bar. It was empty. I shook off what mud I could before stepping in, but I still felt dirty. A sarsaparilla, Owl. Light on the ice this time, I muttered as Owl danced his way over to give me a drink, ice stacked up to the top. He never really listened. Oh, Tigger, what a pleasure it is to see you tonight. First the mayor and then you. Oh, it's like a party all over again. Just like when I had tea with the Queen, you know. A very nice lady. Knighted me, of course, for my escapades. And Owl went on and on and on about his make-up stories. Over the years, they only got more and more fantastic and less believable. I sighed, and someone sat next to the stool. Someone sat in the stool next to me. All this running around, and I feel like I've done nothing. Oh, don't feel bad about it. Well, I do nothing all the time, and, well, I feel pretty good. And you know, there's some people that say they can't do nothing about things. We should really try to help them out. What do you think? I turned around and saw Pooh waving happily. His cool brown fur aged from the years, but his smile still as bright as the first time I met him. Pooh Bear? Is it you? Where have you been all night? I asked Pooh. I asked as Pooh looked at the jars behind Owl and waited for a break in the story. Oh, I'm sorry, Owl. I'm sure the Queen's dragon's a very nice lady, but could I get a smackerel of honey when you get a chance? Owl stopped inside. Oh, Pooh, you know there's not much honey left in these woods, but I'll always get you a smackerel if I can help it. He pulled a small cup full of honey from a glass jar he kept under the counter. Pooh looked at it, almost disappointingly. Oh, bother, a honey shortage. Could there be anything more sad in the world? I'll have to make it last, I guess. He took his hand and scooped a small bit and started smacking away on the gooey honey. Pooh, Pooh Bear, tonight. Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you. I try again. Pooh stops and thinks hard for a second. Why, I suppose I've been everywhere that you weren't. I'm sorry. Well, I've been very busy tonight. And I got a little lost myself. He continued to smack away at the honey. I sighed and asked the question that I needed to. Pooh, did you meet with Gopher last night? I swallowed hard as Pooh did another hard think. Think. No. No, I can't say I saw a Gopher. Well, I did see Christopher Robin, though. Well, I didn't see him, but his car did stop by and say hi to me. He said Gopher was sick, and that I should go home. Oh, bother. Oh, I forgot to go home. Oh, silly me. I breathed in relief. It seemed Pooh was in the clear, though there was always the chance he didn't remember. Honey is always good with friends. We should have a party soon, don't you think, Tigger? Oh, we could get Piglet, Rabbit, Christopher Robin. Oh, we can bring Kanga and Roo. It'd be so much fun. He giggled to himself and I nodded. Yeah, Pooh, it sounds like a lot of fun. Pooh went off to the war after Christopher Robin. He'd warned us not to, but Pooh couldn't help but worry about his best friend. Whether it was school or moving to the new home, Pooh always worried more than the most of us. We didn't go with him this time, though. We all had our own things to take care of. But when Pooh came back, Christopher Robin said it was something called pedesty. He was so scared and traumatized. Still thinks he's back in the early days of the 100-acre woods. Still thinks Christopher Robin's a kid. Still thinks Roo is still alive. All right, Pooh boy. I gotta be going. It was good seeing you. I got up to leave, and Pooh spun around in the bar stool, taking a few extra spins before he faced me. Oh, Tigger, wait! Before you go, could you tell Piglet to please come back? You see, I lost my balloon last night, and he left to find it for me. When he didn't come back, I went out looking for him. I don't suppose you've seen him, have you? I ran as fast as I could back to the precinct. Oh, I was a fool. Or was I? It only makes sense to tie Gopher's murder to some big conspiracy involving him. But what if that wasn't it at all? What if it was unrelated? Or even more, revenge. He was but a block from the office when I catch him, strolling back towards his tree with the murder weapon, the balloon in his hands. Piglet! I call out. A mistake. Piglet looks back and catches my sight, and he knows I know. Well, he takes off, scurrying as fast as those little legs can take him, like a mouse after cheese. I am exhausted. But I start back up. My running turns onto all fours, and then I do what Tiggers do best. I start bouncing. Oh, Piglet's small, and he's able to dart and dash between people a lot better than I can. But with the balloon, it's a lot easier to keep track of him from above. I bounce, and I keep bouncing. And soon, we find ourselves back where it all started. The wooded alley where Gopher's body had been found. Piglet turns back after I land, the spook of the impact, causing him to lose his grip of the balloon, and the wind carries it away. Oh dear. He stammers, avoiding eye contact. Why'd you do it, Piglet? Why'd you kill our friend? I ask. I couldn't believe it. I had to know what pieces of the puzzle I was missing. Piglet sighed and reached into his pouch and pulled out a revolver. The police were only given one. We had to share between all of us and only use it for the most extreme situations. He must have snuck it out from Rabbit's office before he left. Piglet, please. I just want to know what happened. Piglet sighed. I was looking for Pooh's balloon, you know. You know how he's been since he got back. He still goes back to it, you know, his house. He forgets it's stuck in the ground. He forgets everything. Even everything I've done for him. But it's okay. Because I'll get him out of here. I'll save Pooh. I'll save him from this forest. Piglet, you're not making any sense. What do you mean? You've seen them, Tigger, haven't you by now? The tunnels under the woods. Everywhere they go. I fell down there one day. I got lost. I was so scared. It was so frightening. But then I saw it. The map, the plans, everything. So I decided to come up with a plan of my own. If Gopher was gone, Christopher Robin would need a new hand to finish the plans. Someone small. Someone that can go into the tunnels and cause the collapse. I mean, he's too big as an adult, right? And so there's no one else he could trust but his old friends. I'll do it. I'll get Pooh out of these woods. We'll get a nice place in a forest full of life where he can have all the honey he wants. And he'll be happy. I want to make Pooh happy, Tigger. I can't have you ruin this. He was shaking, the guns in his hand wobbling. I didn't take a step forward. He was emotional, nervous, desperate. It was a look I'd seen too often in these woods. It made people make big mistakes. The hopelessness, the desperation. Hey, Piglet, old buddy, old pal. It's okay, I understand. But you know, a lot of people live in these woods. A lot of people get hurt if you go through with this plan. And then what? The woods are paved over, and where will they all go? You think Christopher Robin will give them all homes after it's done? Or do you think we'll just all get crushed and tossed away like garbage? Hi, Kim Young-jung. I'm afraid I don't know that symbol. Let me see. Can I translate? Translate to English. Translate to English. Watashi? What does watashi mean? Let me look it up real fast. It looks like it means at me, but I probably got it wrong, so I'm sorry. But thank you for coming into the chat. Ah, crap, I lost my spot. 1 second. Alright, let's see. Oh. Come on, Piglet. Turn yourself in. We can expose him for the act. Get the town together. We can maybe fill in the tunnels and really start things over, you know? What do you say? Piglet was shaking less. He was considering it. Or maybe that's just what I wanted to see. I took a step forward. I wanted to help my friend. I wanted to get the gun away before he hurt himself. But all I could see, after I heard the loud bang, was red. Bright red. Odd. No, now I can see again. Wait, the balloon. Well, how did it get back here, I wondered. I looked at Piglet. 1 second, let me hydrate. I looked at Piglet. He had dropped the gun. He held his hands to his mouth aghast. He was crying. What had happened? Oh, bother. I heard right next to me, and there he was, Pooh Bear, standing still for a second, then falling onto his back. The rain had started again. I held him in my arms, and Piglet came up and took his hand. Oh, Pooh! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean. No. No, it wasn't supposed to be like this. He was crying into Pooh's hands. Every time I'm sad, the song comes to mind. As if the world is round, we go round and round. Life is a merry. When will it end? I don't know. Huh, I'm gonna have to look up that song. It appears I've gotten shot. Oh my. You know, so many people were shot out there. Well, I tried to help them, comfort them. War wasn't a very place to be, you know. But I got to come back after it all. I got to come back to you, Piglet, and everyone. I was so very happy, he said. He began to cough. The bullet had went straight through his chest. He wasn't gonna make it. Pooh, I began. I'm sorry. I should have went out there with you. For all my talk and bluster about beating up the bad guys and being a hero, I was scared. I was scared. I ran away. You, Pooh, you were always such a brave friend. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I too was in tears. All my friends were leaving me behind, one after another, and I felt so powerless. I wanted to be a hero. I took up the role of a cop to make up for my mistakes, to try and make some good in the world. I was slowly forgetting about all of us. But in the end, I guess I was just playing pretend. Pooh took our hands, mine and Piglet. You two were such good friends. Thank you so much. But I think I'm gonna take a little nap. I'm a little bit sleepy. Oh, Piglet, if you could have some honey ready for me when I wake up, just a smackerel. Why that'd be. And then he went quiet. Winnie the Pooh had died. I closed his eyelids and turned to Piglet, but he'd already left Pooh's side. And then I heard it again, the loud bang. Chef Shadow, thank you for coming in to check out the stream. Crap, I lost where I was again. Oh, yeah, no, thank you. Winnie the Pooh had died. I closed his eyelids and turned to Piglet. He'd already left Pooh's side. And then suddenly I heard it again, the loud bang. My shoulder flew back, and I couldn't move it anymore. Piglet stepped towards me, slowly. He was no longer shaking. He was no longer trembling. His hand was on the gun, solid and straight. So, what now, Piglet? Take me out, pretend this never happened? Tigger found the culprit, was shot in the process, huh? Was that the plan, pal? Piglet pulled back the handle and aimed it at my face. I know what to do, Tigger. I'll do like you said. I'm gonna save these woods. Yes, no, Pooh died a martyr. He was shot by the corrupt police after they found out that Pooh stopped the terrorist gopher. Yes, no. The people, they'll rally behind Pooh's last words. No, we can do it. We can take down the mayor. We can make the forest our own. He was so lost in grief, he wasn't talking sense. You think the forest could take on the whole world, Piglet? No, not just the forest, Tigger. You've seen it, haven't you? The toys and animals all being trampled on by the outside world. We're all fed up. It's time to take a stand. And even if we die, Owl, and the other birds, they can pass along the story. And they'll tell the world of our struggle, of sacrifice. Pooh's name will never die. He was my hero, Tigger. He'll be the world's hero. If I can't make him happy, then I'll make the world regard him as highly as I did. I could only shake my head. He'd snapped. He looked up to Pooh so much, put him on the greatest of pedestals. Well, it seems your mind is already set then. It is. Sorry, Tigger. I hate to bury another friend, but I've gone too far to go back now. Give whatever excuses you want. To me, you're still the same coward as before. I stared at him. He didn't wince. He didn't turn away, but he hesitated. The trigger nudged, but not pulled. Well, what are you doing, Piglet? Pull it! Pull it! Pull the trigger! T-R-I-double-G!